Support for this podcast comes from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative, connecting communities with resources, infrastructure, and networks to ensure a vibrant local free press. And from Body 20 in Fresno's Fig Garden Village, offering full-body electromuscle stimulation training sessions. It's a high-tech, time-efficient way to help preserve and rebuild lean muscle. Each 20-minute one-on-one session is guided by a certified coach using FDA-cleared technology. Body 20 accepts health savings account cards. More information is available by searching the Fig Garden location at body20.com.
From KVPR in Fresno, this is Central Valley Daily. It's Monday, May 19th. I'm Elizabeth Arkalian. The federal government is looking to expand its authority to revoke visas for international college students.
A big part of this that no court date was given, and it was more like just pack your bags and leave. You're no longer a student in this country. And that does, I think, violate due process.
Hear how that's impacting foreign students at campuses like UC Merced. That's in just a moment.
Support for Central Valley Daily comes from the members of KVPR. Join at $8 or more per month and access ad-free NPR podcasts through NPR Plus. Give now at kvpr.org/donate.
And now to our feature story. The University of California is known for cutting-edge research, and that's a draw for many students, including those from outside the country. But recently, the Trump administration began stripping students of their visas and work permits. Immigration enforcement has been at the center of this new administration, and now the federal government is aiming to tighten its authority over the processing of international student visas and even green cards. Earlier this spring, more than 80 students at California campuses, including UC Merced, had their visas abruptly terminated, in many cases without explanation. The changes have rattled students and legal observers, casting a cloud of fear and anxiety on college campuses. Rachel Livinal has covered this story for KVPR and spoke with students, both international and U.S. citizens, to get their take on this current climate. She starts our conversation with the story of some impacted students at UC Merced.
So 4 graduate students had their work permits revoked when everything happened. Now 3 of the 4 students have had their work permits reactivated. The university told me they've been working with the impacted students to help them continue their academics. We don't know why that 4th student didn't get their work permit reactivated, and the university also said they've also held information sessions for international students who weren't impacted.
Do we know where these students were from?
We don't know where the students are from either. They didn't really want to disclose any details about the students for their safety.
Yeah, for privacy reasons. That makes sense. I wanted to clarify something. In these situations, was it both their visas and work permits being canceled, or did some of these students just have their work permits revoked?
Yeah, so across the country, for some students it was their visas, and then for others it was their work permits. Although these are essentially different kinds of documentation, they work in tandem with each other for international students. So work permits, if they have those revoked, they still stop them from being in the country because most times international graduate students, they work in order to legally stay in the country. So they both have the same consequences, even if one or the other is taken away.
I know you spoke to some of these students who were impacted and other international students as well. What did you hear from them?
Yeah, they're worried and concerned. International students don't know if they want to continue their education in the U.S., and students who are citizens feel like their friends and family are in fear of this happening, which gives them fear and concern too. One of the international students I spoke to said that this was a reminder that their situation is very precarious and that their visas can be revoked without notification.
Yeah, I want to note another quote from an international student. They said that if things don't improve by December, they will consider going back to their country. Now, is that something you heard from other international students as well?
Yeah, students are definitely on edge. The student that I mentioned that said that said that other international students were also planning on not visiting their home country during the summer, which is something that most international students usually do, including him. But they said that if there's no idea of what could happen when staying in the country by December, they could go back and maybe just never finish their education there. The other student I spoke to said he's planning on staying in the country because he has another education program he signed up for, but he's thinking of a backup plan too. He even has a bag packed in case he gets noticed, even though he has no reason to believe his work permit or his visa could be revoked.
And what's the legality of these actions by the Trump administration?
So it is legal. Jessica Smith-Bobadilla, she's an immigration attorney I spoke to. She's told me the government generally has broad discretion over international students and really can take their statuses away for whatever reason, even though it's never been done before. Generally, administrations don't just take away statuses for whatever reason. But she did question the original way the Trump administration went about canceling these visas. Here's what Jessica told me.
A big part of this that no court date was given, and it was more like just pack your bags and leave. You're no longer a student in this country. And that does, I think, violate due process.
Did any of the people you spoke to address the potential long-term effects that these actions on visas could have on the U.S.?
Yeah, going back to Jessica, she told me that this could have a huge impact on things here in the U.S.
I agree that this is going to be very detrimental to the United States. Many specialists, medical specialists and doctors that I think we've all, encountered were foreign students and then transitioned into a more permanent status.
Yeah, and that is also especially critical in the Central Valley. And, we have a loss of healthcare workers and doctors here. But she also mentioned it's not just medical professionals. Any realm international students add with their research or their findings or whatever they bring to the table, it really benefits the country.
And I can imagine it's probably very difficult for these students to focus on their research when the conditions are such as they are. So we've talked about the students being impacted and the legality of all this, but what about students from the U.S. who are at UC Merced? What did they have to say about this?
Yeah, I spoke to a few students at UC Merced. One of them was Miguel Craven. He's UC Merced student body president. He told me everyone at the school is concerned because even if they don't know an international student, which many of them do, but even if they don't, they likely know someone in their classes or in their family who is undocumented. The school is relatively small compared to other UCs, and it has a good portion of undocumented students or students who are the first in their families to attend college. Here's what Miguel told me.
It's like everybody has that sense of unity on our campus that if there is something coming our way, we will be here to protect one another.
Another student I spoke to, her name's Holly Yu. She said that she sees international grad students when they help her with her work. A lot of them work in classrooms. She also thinks they broaden her worldview.
I think that's a significant part of college too, of like going to another city or a different location and then being exposed to more things in order to grow into adulthood. It's a significant part of people's personal development.
Anything else you'd like to add, Rachel?
Yeah, it's worth mentioning that almost half of UC Merced graduate students are international. It's the largest portion of grad students of any UC. So if these students do decide to stop their education at the university, it could have a drastic impact on enrollment at UC Merced.
KVPR reporter Rachel Livinal, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Liz.
And that's today's show. A reminder, you can always find the day's local and national headlines on your radio. Just tune to 89.3 FM in Fresno and 89.1 FM in Bakersfield, or you can tell your smart speaker to play KVPR. Today's episode was produced by Jonathan Linden and KVPR with support from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative. I'm Elizabeth Arkalian. You can find the latest local news anytime at kvpr.org.
Planet Money helps you understand the economy. We find the people at the center of the story.
Garbage in New York, that was like a controlled substance.
We show you how money influences everything.
Tell me what you like by telling me how you spend your money.
And we dig until we get answers.
I had a bad feeling you're going to bring that up.
Planet Money finds out. All you have to do is listen. The Planet Money Podcast from NPR.